If you are here, you've already felt the struggle, the constant battle between your plans and your impulses, between the version of you that wants more and the version that always drags you back. In the next few minutes, we'll dive into the wisdom of Nietzsche, Adler, and Carl Jung to reveal why your willpower feels so fragile, why your rider always loses to your elephant, and most importantly, we'll explore how you can finally steer that elephant in a different direction, so instead of fighting yourself, you can take back control of your life. What does this rider and elephant steering mean? There's a powerful metaphor in psychology that captures the conflict inside us, the rider and the elephant. The idea was presented vividly by psychologist Jonathan Haidt, but its essence resonates with centuries of philosophy. To truly grasp it, imagine this picture: a tiny rider perched on top of a massive elephant. The rider is your rational mind, calm, logical, and always planning. The elephant is your emotional mind, powerful, instinctive, and often untamed. The rider holds a map and points toward the horizon. He represents purpose and long-term vision. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That's the rider speaking, the part of us that finds meaning and builds direction. The elephant, however, is driven by immediate gratification. It doesn't care about maps, it cares about urges. Carl Jung warned us of this when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The elephant is that unconscious force. It drags us back into old patterns when we least expect it. To make this clearer, think about your mornings. The rider says, "Wake up early, go for a run." But the elephant says, "5 more minutes won't hurt." Before you know it, 30 minutes are gone. Or picture your evenings. The rider says, "Read a book, grow your mind." The elephant interrupts, "Let's check Instagram for a bit." Hours pass and you're left wondering where your time went. The elephant doesn't need logic, it only needs emotion, and emotions are always stronger in the moment. This is why so many people feel trapped in cycles of procrastination. Because deep down, the elephant is steering, not the rider. Jung's perspective makes this even sharper. Your elephant isn't just impulses. It's a reflection of your entire unconscious life, filled with desires you've never faced. Every time you break a promise to yourself, it isn't just laziness. It's the elephant reminding you who's really in control. But here's where the hook lies. What if instead of fighting the elephant, you could guide it? What if the rider could stop exhausting himself and instead use the elephant's strength? That's exactly where we're heading next. But from here you have a choice. You can fast forward straight to the how-to chapter and pick up the battle again with your elephant. Or you can stay with me right here and uncover the deeper meaning of how to actually control it. The decision is yours, but only one path teaches you the better way. Now let's start with this question. Why willpower fails? Society tells us that discipline is everything, that with enough willpower we can shape any future. But Alfred Adler reminded us it is easier to fight for one's principles than to live up to them. Willpower is not infinite. It's like a battery. It runs out. Every hard choice, every stressful moment drains it until nothing is left. Think of how many times you've tried to stick to a diet. For days you resist dessert, but one stressful evening you cave. Was it because you forgot your goal? No, the rider knew. But the elephant was tired of being restrained. Machiavelli captured this reality when he observed, "Men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear." Translate that to your life. The elephant is driven by fear of pain and love of comfort, and both overpower reason in the long run. Willpower doesn't fail because you're weak, it fails because it's temporary. It's like holding your breath underwater. At first you feel strong, determined, unshakable, but eventually the need for air overwhelms every logical thought. That gasp for breath, that's your elephant reclaiming control. And just like that, the diet breaks, the routine collapses, the plan is forgotten. Psychologists call this ego depletion, the idea that willpower works like a muscle that tires out. And just like muscles, if you keep lifting without rest, they collapse. This explains why you can resist temptation all day long, until late at night, when you're tired and vulnerable, you binge on the very thing you swore to avoid. Here's the manipulation you don't hear in motivational speeches. Every time you fail, society wants you to blame yourself. You're lazy, you're weak, you lack discipline. But the truth is, your brain is wired this way. You are up against an ancient survival machine, the elephant. Unless you stop seeing failure as weakness and start seeing it as mismanagement of energy, you'll never escape the cycle. And yet there's something even bigger sabotaging you. Willpower isn't just weak, it's being actively attacked from the outside. Let's see who's feeding your elephant when you're not paying attention. And since you're still here, leaning in and choosing to go deeper, prove it to yourself right now. Hit subscribe, like, and share. Every click strengthens this community, fuels content that cuts through the noise, and makes sure you never walk this path alone. Now let's just try to see the bigger picture. The modern problems and how society feeds the elephant. If this battle were only inside us, perhaps we could manage. But in today's world, society itself fattens the elephant. Jung might argue that the collective unconscious has been hijacked by a culture obsessed with stimulation. Nietzsche condemned this herd mentality, where people are trained to follow comfort instead of carving out greatness. Look around you. Every app, every ad, every processed food is bait. Algorithms feed your elephant exactly what it craves: endless novelty and instant gratification. Machiavelli's insight still rings true. Men judge more from appearances than reality. Social media thrives on appearances, fueling comparison, envy, and shallow validation. Your elephant scrolls for hours because each swipe gives it another sugary hit of dopamine. Think of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. These platforms aren't built to serve your rider, they're engineered to hypnotize your elephant. That's why you can lose 2 hours in what feels like minutes. The elephant doesn't tell time, it only feels pleasure in the now. This is why discipline feels harder today than in the past. The environment itself is against you. Your elephant is constantly bombarded with stimulation. You're not just fighting impulses, you're fighting billion-dollar systems built to keep your elephant hooked. As long as this continues, discipline will feel less like climbing a hill and more like scaling a mountain. But here's the twist. Once you realize this, you're no longer a passive victim. You can stop being the plaything of algorithms and learn to flip the game. In the next chapter, you'll discover how to train your elephant so it becomes your ally, not your captor. Before that, if you want to go deeper, I've linked up here another video. How overstimulation is ruining your life. In it, we uncover why modern dopamine traps quietly destroy your focus and why overstimulation kills your motivation even when you feel entertained. If you've ever wondered why your brain feels broken despite endless stimulation, that video is the next step in your journey. So, how to work with your elephant, not against it. Here's the truth. You can't fight the elephant into submission. You must train it. Nietzsche spoke of amor fati, the love of one's fate. That's how you begin to work with your elephant. By embracing its instincts and redirecting them. Start small. Don't demand massive changes. Instead, create tiny habits the elephant can accept. Walk for 5 minutes instead of promising a marathon. Write 1 page instead of dreaming of a novel. Adler taught that we are not determined by our experiences, but by the meaning we give them. Attach meaning to these small steps, and your elephant will follow. Reward matters. Jung emphasized how symbols and emotions move the unconscious. Use rewards to make progress satisfying. Link positive feelings to healthy habits. Let the elephant feel pleasure in walking the right path. Control the environment. Machiavelli advised rulers to shape appearances to control people. You must become the ruler of your life. Remove temptations. Design your surroundings so the easiest path is the one you want. If there's no junk food at home, the elephant can't find it. Identity is the final key. Nietzsche urged, Become who you are. Stop saying, I'm trying. Say instead, I am. The elephant believes identity over orders. Once it believes it is a healthy, disciplined, purposeful creature, it will move that way naturally. Here's the psychological trick. People fail not because they can't act, but because they identify as someone who is trying. And trying is the language of failure. The elephant doesn't follow try, it follows certainty. So decide who you are, then watch the elephant carry you forward with unstoppable power. And if you're fascinated by this idea of shaping identity and guiding your fate, I invite you to watch after this. The harder you try, the harder it gets with Fyodor Dostoevsky and Nietzsche. There, we dive into the concept of amor fati, learning to love your life exactly as it is. We'll explore why suffering isn't an obstacle, but the very thing that defines us, and how Nietzsche's philosophy and Dostoevsky's brutally honest characters reveal that sometimes embracing hardship is the only way to real freedom. But there's one enemy even more seductive than distraction: comfort. And unless you see how dangerous comfort really is, your elephant will never learn to grow. The hidden enemy is the comfort trap. If there's one thing the elephant craves above all, it's comfort. And comfort is the slow death of greatness. Nietzsche warned us, the secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and greatest enjoyment is live dangerously. Yet we've built lives around safety, convenience, and endless ease. Comfort feels like peace. But Jung would remind us that our unlived life, the shadow, festers in that false peace. The dreams you abandoned, the risks you never took, the courage you silenced, all rot quietly inside while the elephant rocks itself to sleep in comfort. Adler argued that life is meant to be a struggle of contribution and courage. Life means to be interested in others, to contribute, to struggle. But comfort paralyzes us. It whispers, stay in the job you hate. It's secure. Stay in the relationship that drains you. It's familiar. Stay in bed. It's warm. And so entire lifetimes are lost in the trap of comfort. Think about it. When was the last time you deliberately chose discomfort? Cold showers, tough conversations, chasing the dream that might fail? These are the things that carve strength. But the elephant resists. It wants the blanket, the scroll, the easy road. And every time you give in, the cage of comfort grows smaller, even as it feels softer. The comfort trap is dangerous because it feels good while it destroys you. That's why so many die with regrets, wishing they had risked more, tried more, lived more. Don't let that be your story. Because in the next chapter, we'll uncover what real freedom looks like, and it has nothing to do with staying comfortable. We think that real freedom comes from alignment. Jung once said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. That choice is only possible when rider and elephant move as one. True freedom is not forcing yourself every day with sheer willpower. It's building a life where the elephant wants the same path the rider does. Imagine waking up and not needing to argue with yourself about going to the gym, because it's simply who you are. Imagine eating well, not as a punishment, but because your elephant craves the energy it gives you. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the one who overcomes himself, was never about suppression. It was about harmony, about mastering your inner forces so completely that life itself becomes an act of creation. Machiavelli wrote, the wise man does at once what the fool does at last. Don't wait. Don't fight the elephant endlessly. Learn to guide it. Align your identity, habits, and environment with your goals. The elephant, once trained, doesn't resist. It carries you with unstoppable power. And here's the ultimate truth. Your elephant isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally. When you finally learn to guide it, you'll realize life was never meant to be a daily war. It was meant to be a journey of alignment. Rider and elephant, purpose and desire, moving together toward the life you were destined to create.